An arrogant alien coalition fires the first shot at humanity's remote outpost, underestimating Earth's true strength. Humanity remains silent and poised, ready to unleash a hidden fury that will engulf the galaxy. The stage is set for an unprecedented war. Earth's rebellion ends here. The words dropped like a stone in the silence of the observation chamber, reverberating against cold steel walls and the thick, reinforced glass overlooking the vast emptiness of space. High Commander Treizel's voice was laced with venom and certainty, a predator gloating before the kill. His eyes, shimmering with a cruel alien light, locked onto the giant hollow screen projecting the smug faces of the Galactic Council's war leaders. The station perched on the edge of the Helios sector, a harsh frontier where humanity's fledgling outpost orbited a lifeless asteroid. Through the panoramic viewport, distant stars flickered coldly, indifferent to the tension thickening inside. 4 human officers stood shoulder to shoulder, shadows etched sharply against the starry void. Commander Elena Miles held her ground at the railing. Her hands were clenched so tightly they whitened at the knuckles, but her face betrayed no tremor of doubt or fear. Years of training had forged her into steel, and beneath that steely exterior burned a fierce storm of determination. "They think this," she gestured toward the hollow, "is our breaking point, that Earth's divided, weak and ripe for the taking." Lieutenant Amir Khan's eyes were fixed on the alien broadcast, lips tight. Their arrogance blinds them. They dismiss us as primitive, a planet of fractured politics and outdated tech. They don't see what we've become. Eleanor's voice was a low, resolute growl. "We've been hiding, waiting, preparing. They fired first, but they will pay the cost." The alien faces on the hollow sneered. The Jorvex, self-appointed overlords of this star cluster, believed themselves untouchable. Their conquests spanned decades, crushing less advanced species with brutal ease. They spoke with disdain of Earth, its underdeveloped technology, and its backwater status in the cosmic hierarchy. But as the Council's smug broadcast played on, the station's sensors screamed to life. "Missile launch detected. Trajectory locking on the outpost," the communications officer announced, voice taut with urgency. Elena's eyes narrowed, cold fire igniting behind her gaze. "Weapons offline," she ordered. "Activate point defense turrets. Hold fire until range is less than 15 kilometers." Every second stretched into eternity. The missile, small, fast, deadly, ripped through the black void like a comet of destruction. A moment later, brilliant bursts of blue laser fire erupted from the outpost's defense grids, slicing the missile into fiery shards. The fragments burned up harmlessly, scattered like ashes across the void. For a heartbeat, silence returned. Then, Elena's voice, calm and deadly, sliced through the tension. "They think this was just a warning shot, but it's a declaration of war." In the command center below, the hum of dormant warships filled the hidden bays, silent sentinels waiting on Earth's secret orders. Messages shot out instantly through secure channels, rousing fleets from their long slumber. "Mobilize the entire Navy," Eleanor commanded. "Every warship in every system, every battalion on every station. The time to hide is over." Lieutenant Khan glanced at the digital map, pulsing with red alerts. "They've underestimated us for too long, but the truth is coming." A storm, buried beneath centuries of silence. Elena turned to face her team, the weight of what was to come settling into every muscle. "You're not ready for what we buried beneath the stars," she said quietly, voice filled with grim promise. Outside, the stars blinked cold and distant, indifferent witnesses to the awakening fury of humanity. The Galactic Council had made their choice. They fired first, but humanity would answer with every warship they had. The galaxy was about to learn why. Earth had been left alone for so long. Because we were waiting, because we were ready, because war was coming, and we would not be the ones who fell. The cold silence of space was shattered by a sudden pulse, a deep resonating hum from the planet Earth itself transmitted through quantum relays, a signal traveling faster than light, carrying a message encoded in the heartbeat of every human soul, the signal to wake, to fight, to claim. Elena watched as the outpost's comms relayed the orders to ships scattered across light years. Vessels, camouflaged by advanced stealth, vessels thought to be relics. Ghost fleets stirred, their dormant engines flickering alive. Her gaze returned to the holoscreen, now dark. The alien warlords' faces were gone, replaced by static, their confidence shattered. "They thought we were alone," Elena whispered. "They never looked beyond the frontier." A slow, deadly smile spread across her face. The war was only just beginning. As humanity's hidden fleets awaken, the galaxy's most secret warships prepare to move. Long-forgotten commanders reunite, and decades of silent planning reveal their deadly purpose. Meanwhile, alien intelligence scrambles to comprehend the scale of humanity's covert power, and fear begins to crack their arrogance. The hum of ancient engines filled the vast, dim hangar bays beneath the surface of Lunar Prime. Once abandoned, as relics of Earth's dark past, the ghost fleets now shimmered under sterile lights. Sleek, battle-hardened warships coated with stealth fields so advanced they bent light itself. Dozens of vessels stretched along cavernous docks, their metallic hulls scarred by time but alive with latent fury. Admiral Lucas Varren stood atop the command catwalk, surveying the awakening fleet. His silvered hair caught the pale glow of console. Readouts as he scanned the status panels flickering before him. Each warship was an instrument of vengeance, quiet yet lethal, waiting decades in cold silence to be summoned. "Admiral, all systems report green," his communications officer said, voice steady despite the tension. Varren's eyes hardened. "Prepare battle crews for immediate deployment. Launch codes are ready. This isn't a drill anymore." Behind him, the murmur of hundreds of voices echoed through the corridors, veterans from every corner of Earth's fractured nations. They were ghosts, men and women who had trained in secret, their knowledge preserved beyond political turmoil, their loyalty sworn to a cause greater than borders or flags. Varren's mind flicked back to the long years of silence. When the outer colonies had been attacked, the public response was chaos, debates, calls for peace, fractured leadership. But beneath that surface, a network had thrived, a network of spies, engineers, strategists and soldiers who knew the truth. Earth had been preparing for war since the first alien eyes looked down on them. "We've been waiting," Varren said quietly, "waiting for the moment when they'd show their hand. They fired first. Now we answer." The launch bays began to roar as engines ignited, releasing plumes of ionized gas into the vacuum. Ships slipped from their docks, cloaked shadows moving silently into the black. In command centers scattered across Earth and her colonies, every fleet commander felt the pulse of the call. From the icy moons of Jupiter to the asteroid rings of Mars, warships slipped their tethers and vanished into the dark. In a hidden command bunker beneath the Swiss Alps, Commander Hannah Yates adjusted the controls of her terminal. Her eyes narrowed. As encrypted communications flooded her screens, intelligence reports from every sector, whispers of the Alien War Council scrambling to reassess their assumptions. They never believed Earth could marshal this many ships this quickly, Hannah murmured. "They thought we'd crumble under pressure." Her fingers danced across the hollow interface, tapping into the vast databases of human technology, batteries of next-generation railguns, plasma disruptors, and graviton shields. The weapons were more than tools. They were symbols of humanity's survival instinct turned lethal. Suddenly, a message blinked onto her screen, intercepted transmission from the Jorvex flagship. The tone was urgent, almost desperate. "They're trying to regroup," Hannah said. "They're sending fleets from their core systems to reinforce the front lines." But they don't understand we've already begun. Back in orbit around the Helios sector, Elena Miles paced the cramped command room aboard the Frontier outpost. Her jaw was set, eyes steely as she monitored the tactical displays. The missile attack was only the first volley. Soon the real battle would begin. A voice crackled over the comms. "Commander, our sensors are picking up multiple jump signatures. Enemy fleets moving fast toward us." Elena's gaze sharpened. "Tell Earth Command to expedite fleet mobilization. Every warship in range must converge here." The distant stars outside flickered as if responding to the tension inside. The galaxy was a chessboard, and every piece was moving. A grim smile flickered on Elena's lips. They thought we were vulnerable. But humanity had learned patience. Humanity had learned silence. And now, humanity would unleash the storm. The alien coalition scrambles to respond, realizing their initial strike triggered a war far beyond their expectations. On Earth, hidden command centers pulse with activity as humanity's forces coordinate a devastating counter-offensive. Meanwhile, frontline commanders brace for the opening salvo of a battle that will redefine the galaxy's balance of power. The council chamber aboard the Jorvex flagship was a cathedral of cold steel and glaring lights. Alien warlords gathered, their faces twisted in disbelief and fury. Screens blinked frantic updates, showing the spread of human fleets like a rising tide swallowing their carefully laid plans. General Vorka growled low, his reptilian eyes burning with rage. "Their fleets, how? We struck the outpost, thinking them weak, scattered. We broke their silence." An aide beside him hesitated before whispering, "Our intelligence missed the extent of their preparations. They have weapons, fleets hidden, beyond our sensor ranges." Vorka slammed a claw against the control console. "They hide behind shadows, but their storm has begun. We must mobilize all forces now. No mercy, no retreat." Meanwhile, light years away in Earth's orbital command center, Admiral Varren coordinated the unfolding operation with cold precision. Holographic maps flickered between star systems, each point a warship or battalion poised to strike. "Deploy the vanguard squadrons," Varren ordered. "Target their jump points. Cut off reinforcements before they reach the Helios sector." Commander Hannah Yates nodded sharply. "Our intel shows their heavy cruisers are spread thin. If we strike fast, we can disrupt their formations." Below, the command decks, the human fleet stirred with a deadly rhythm. Pilots ran simulations, engineers performed final system checks, and crews braced themselves for the war to come. The centuries of secrecy and preparation were about to be tested in the unforgiving theater of space. On the Helios Frontier outpost, Elena Miles stood watch as distant contacts blipped into sensor range. The first wave was approaching. Sleek, alien ships cutting through the darkness like knives. "Elena, incoming fleet bearing 270 mark," her tactical officer reported. Estimated fleet strength. 5 capital ships with escort squadrons. Elena's jaw clenched. "Raise shields to full power. Prepare to engage on my mark." She paused, eyes drifting to the viewport where the first enemy vessels emerged from the black. The cold stars behind them seemed to pale in comparison to the fire burning in the hearts of those human warriors waiting below. "This is what we've trained for," Elena whispered. "This is what we were born for." The first. Shots echoed across the void. A storm of plasma bolts and railgun slugs tearing through space. The alien warships unleashed volleys of missiles and energy beams, but the human defenses held firm, their own counterattacks precise and brutal. Each explosion in the void was a clash not just of metal and fire, but of wills, ancient grudges, and modern fury entwined in a deadly dance. Far from the front lines, Earth's leaders watched the broadcasts in secured war rooms. For decades, they had hoped to avoid conflict, to keep their secrets hidden and peace intact. But now, the truth was laid bare. The galaxy had awakened a force it had never truly understood, a force that refused to be broken. As battles raged across sectors, hidden fleets launched stealth strikes against alien supply chains and communication nodes. The war was no longer a simple confrontation. It had evolved into a vast, multi-dimensional conflict that would test every ounce of humanity's resolve. In a quiet moment amidst the chaos, Admiral Varren turned to his staff. "They underestimated us," he said, voice steady but fierce. "They thought Earth was the weak link. We will prove them wrong." Elena, aboard the Helios outpost, locked eyes with her tactical team. "Hold the line. Protect the frontier. Humanity fights not just for survival, but for the right to exist." The stars beyond seemed to watch silently as the war unfolded, the spark that would ignite an inferno. The war escalates quickly as humanity's coordinated counterattacks disrupt the alien fleet's advance. Meanwhile, political tensions flare within the Galactic Council, exposing fractures that humanity might exploit. On the front line, commanders face brutal combat and impossible choices as the first real battles shape the fate of countless worlds. The void was alive with the thunder of battle. Energy beams lanced across the darkness, painting eerie streaks of light on the hulls of warships locked in deadly embrace. Explosions blossomed in cold silence, a macabre fireworks display for distant observers. Commander Elena Miles stood firm at the helm of the Helios outpost, sweat beading on her brow. Despite the recycled air, the familiar chaos of combat filled her senses. The blaring alarms, the crackle of comms, the steady hum of shields absorbing deadly blows. "Enemy frigate destroyed at Sector 7 Alpha," the tactical officer reported, voice strained but steady. Elena's gaze swept the holographic battle map. The alien fleet was fracturing under relentless human pressure, but reinforcements were arriving faster than expected. "We're holding, but their numbers grow," Elena warned. "Prepare to deploy the pulse drones, maximum disruption on their sensor arrays." Below, engineers scrambled to arm sleek autonomous drones, designed to fry enemy systems with electromagnetic pulses. The quiet hum of their launch tubes belied the havoc they would unleash moments later. Far from the front, in the heart of the Galactic Council's capital, tension boiled. The Council's chambers, once a place of rigid order, now simmered with heated debate. Ambassador Shira of the Vexari faction slammed her fist on the polished table. "This war was unnecessary. We provoked humanity with arrogance and hubris. Now we face annihilation." General Vorka's scaled visage hardened. "They must be crushed or broken. There is no middle ground. Our dominion depends on it." Whispers of dissent rippled through the chamber. Some factions feared the growing human power. Others saw opportunity in the chaos. As the council fractured, humanity's leaders seized the moment. In a secure communications vault beneath Earth's surface, Admiral Varren convened with field commanders from multiple systems. "Our strike on their jump points has delayed their reinforcements significantly," Varren announced, voice steady with grim satisfaction. "But the war is far from over." Commander Hannah Yates leaned forward. "We need to hit their supply lines deeper, cut off fuel reserves and weapons stockpiles, starve them of resources and their advanced stalls." Varren nodded. "Agreed. Prepare stealth recon teams. We need eyes in every sector." Back at Helios, Elena's command center erupted as sensors detected a new wave of enemy ships warping into the system. "Incoming fleet, 20 vessels. Heavy assault class," the warning blared. Elena's pulse quickened, but her face remained stoic. "Battle stations. This is where we make our stand." Outside, the space around the outpost erupted in violent color as two fleets collided in a storm of firepower. Ships maneuvered with deadly precision, flinging volleys of plasma and kinetic rounds. Explosions ripped through fragile cruisers, scattering debris like cosmic rain. Amid the chaos, Elena's voice rang clear over comms. "Keep formation. Focus fire on their command ship." Her tactical team responded with ruthless efficiency. Target locks blazed red. Coordinated strikes hammered the alien flagship. The battle reached a fever pitch as a sudden explosion rocked the outpost, sending a shockwave through the station. Damage reports flooded in. Systems flickered and power dipped dangerously low. "We've taken a hit to the main reactor," the engineer shouted. "Stabilizers failing." Elena's heart pounded, but her mind sharpened. "Initiate emergency protocols. Divert power." To shields and life support. As alarms wailed, she looked out over the shattered battlefield. The cost was mounting, but so was humanity's resolve. Humanity faces devastating losses, but refuses to yield. Amid brutal clashes, unexpected alliances form, and hidden technologies emerge that could tip the scales. Commanders grapple with the human cost of war, even as they push deeper into enemy territory, determined to turn the tide. The aftermath of the battle hung heavy like a shroud over the Helios outpost. Smoke drifted through shattered corridors, mingling with the sterile hum of damaged systems struggling to stay online. Commander Elena Miles moved through the chaos, her boots echoing sharply against metal floors littered with debris. Around her, medics rushed to tend the wounded, while engineers worked feverishly to patch ruptured conduits. The losses were severe. Several escort ships had been lost, and the outpost's structural integrity was compromised. Yet, amid the wreckage, the human spirit blazed brighter than any star. Elena paused by a viewport, staring out at the dark expanse where distant flashes marked ongoing skirmishes. Somewhere out there, the war continued, a brutal dance of death and defiance. Her comms crackled. "Commander, we've detected an unidentified vessel approaching. Stealth signature but not matching any known enemy profiles." Her eyes narrowed. "Prepare to hail." Seconds later, a distorted voice broke through the static. "This is Captain Varnis of the Korsh Coalition. We come with a proposal." Elena exchanged a glance with her tactical officer. The Korsh had long been enemies of the Galactic Council, a fractured alliance of former colonies and renegades. Their sudden appearance was both a risk and a potential game-changer. "What's your offer?" Elena asked cautiously. "A temporary alliance. We share a common enemy in the Jorvex-led coalition. Our forces combined can break their siege," Varnis responded. Suspicion warred with pragmatism. War was no place for old grudges when survival was on the line. Elena's voice was steady. "We'll consider it. Stand by for further communication." Back in Earth's command center, Admiral Varens studied the incoming data. The Korsh were a wild card. Unpredictable but skilled warriors with advanced tech. If true, this alliance could shift the balance. Meanwhile, on the front line, pilots readied their fighters, aware that every sortie could be their last. Young voices mingled with hardened veterans, all sharing the same steely resolve. Lieutenant Amir Khan buckled into his cockpit, heart racing as the engines thrummed beneath him. The void awaited, a deadly canvas painted with laser fire and shattered dreams. "Remember what we fight for," Elena's voice echoed over the comms. "For Earth, for home, for every life worth saving." The fleet surged forward, weaving through asteroid fields and radiation belts to outflank the enemy. In the shadows, a new weapon flickered to life, a project buried deep within Earth's secret labs. A prototype designed to disrupt enemy shields and communications, turning their strength into vulnerability. Hannah Yates monitored its deployment with cautious hope. "If this works, we can cripple their command networks and end this war faster than anyone expected." The first tests were promising, but the cost was mounting. Casualties weighed heavily on every commander's conscience. Elena sat alone in her quarters, the distant roar of battle a constant reminder of what was at stake. She traced the worn emblem on her uniform, a phoenix rising from ashes, and whispered, a vow to herself. We will rise, because humanity did not just fight to survive, they fought to prevail. As the war deepens, humanity unveils devastating new tactics and technologies, striking fear into the hearts of the alien coalition. Commanders confront not only enemy fire, but also the psychological toll of endless conflict. Meanwhile, political fractures within the Galactic Council threaten to unravel their unity, giving humanity an unexpected edge in the vast cosmic struggle. The vastness of space was both a shield and a trap. The human fleet moved like a ghost wave through the dark expanse, shadows among stars, swift and deadly. The Helios sector had become a crucible where every moment could mean salvation or destruction. Admiral Lucas Varren stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, eyes scanning a holomap alive with shifting points of light, fleets, patrols, targets, and hazards. His voice carried the weight of command. Deploy the phalanx squadrons to cover the flanks. Keep all recon teams on. High alert. We cannot afford surprises. The Resolute was more than a warship. It was a fortress on the edge of humanity's will. Built for endurance and firepower, it symbolized Earth's defiance against a galaxy that had once dismissed them. In the cramped cockpit of her fighter, Lieutenant Amir Khan adjusted his visor, feeling the familiar adrenaline surge. Today's mission was critical, a deep strike on a Jorvex fuel depot hidden within the asteroid belt of Arcturus IV. Destroying it could cripple enemy supply lines and slow their advance. Locking coordinates, Khan reported over comms. Approaching jump point in T-minus 30 seconds. Behind him, the void shimmered with the silent pulse of stars. Each blink a reminder that this was no longer a battle for territory. It was a battle for survival, for identity. Meanwhile, back on the surface of Earth, Commander Hannah Yates studied data streaming from the front lines. Her fingers danced across the controls, analyzing enemy responses and projecting the next moves in the deadly game. Enemy shields are adapting faster than predicted, she muttered. We need to push harder. Her voice softened as a secure line flickered to life. It was Elena Miles, now commanding from the Helios outpost. Elena, reports coming in show increased Jorvex patrols near the Kappa expanse, Hannah warned. They're trying to cut off our reinforcements. Elena's jaw tightened. Then we hit them first. Deploy the new pulse drones in coordinated waves. Overload their systems before they know what hit them. The pulse drones were a secret weapon, autonomous machines designed to release focused electromagnetic bursts. Small, fast, and lethal, they could cripple entire fleets' sensors and communications, turning precision strikes into chaos. Elena knew the risks. These drones required perfect timing and coordination, or they could become liabilities. Coordinate with Varren's fleet, she ordered. This is our best chance to break their lines. The war was no longer confined to starships and missiles. It had become a psychological battlefield. Commanders felt the weight of endless combat. Each decision carried lives on the line. Each victory shadowed by loss. On the bridge of Resolute, Admiral Varren paced. His crew worked tirelessly, faces pale but determined. "Status report," he demanded. "Tactical drones launched," the communications officer replied. "Enemy fleet sensors failing in Sector 3. Disarray among their escorts." Varren allowed himself a brief nod. "Good. Press the advantage." Elsewhere, Lieutenant Khan's squadron dove into the asteroid field. Jagged rocks loomed like sentinels, their shadows hiding deadly traps. "Keep tight formations," Khan ordered. "Watch your six." Suddenly, explosions erupted as enemy turrets opened fire. Laser beams sliced the void, forcing the squadron into evasive maneuvers. Khan's heart pounded as he dodged a missile, narrowly missing a spinning debris field. "Target locked on fuel depot," he shouted. "Weapons hot, with precision born." From years of training, the squadron unleashed a salvo of plasma torpedoes and railgun bursts. The depot erupted in a fiery blossom, sending shockwaves through the belt. Behind the blast, Jorvek's reinforcements scrambled, but the human fleet's presence kept them at bay. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, tension mounted. The once unified front showed cracks as factions debated. Ambassador Shira of Vexari addressed the Council sharply. "Our failure to contain humanity threatens us all. We must consider diplomatic channels." "Diplomacy is weakness, General." Walker interrupted, his voice like gravel. "They attack us without warning. We retaliate with overwhelming force." Murmurs rippled through the room. The debate was fierce, but beneath the surface lurked fear. A fear that humanity's growing strength could shatter the old order. On board the Helios outpost, Elena watched the battle unfold through a viewport smeared with condensation. "We're losing ground," her tactical officer warned. "Enemy reinforcements are stronger than anticipated." Elena clenched her fists. "Then we fight harder. No retreat." She turned to her team. "Send coordinates to Varan. We'll synchronize." Her pincer movement, the comms buzzed with confirmations. Across space, humanity's forces moved in deadly concert. The first pulse drones detonated near enemy cruisers, sending cascades of electromagnetic waves that scrambled their sensors. Confusion erupted in the Jorvek's command ranks, exploiting the chaos. Human fighters tore through disorganized escorts, their fire precise and relentless. Amid the firestorm, Elena's voice was steady, a beacon of resolve. "This is our moment. Push them back." Hours stretched into an endless battle. Explosions peppered the void, starships screamed, and the stars bore witness to a war that would echo through history. Amid the carnage, the true cost became clear. Elena paused beside a holoscreen displaying casualty reports, names and faces of those lost, sacrifices etched in cold data. Her voice barely a whisper, she vowed, "Every life lost fuels our fight. We will not fail them." Outside, the void was indifferent, but humanity burned bright. Humanity presses deeper into enemy territory as fierce battles erupt on multiple fronts. Commanders wrestle with the heavy price of war and the fragile alliances forged in desperation. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council faces internal turmoil as fears of humanity's rising dominance fracture their ranks, setting the stage for unexpected betrayals. The blackness of space stretched infinitely, broken only by the sharp glint of distant stars and the blazing trails of warships hurtling through the void. The human fleet surged forward, relentless and unforgiving, cutting a path deeper into enemy territory. On board the flagship Resolute, Admiral Lucas Varan stood silently in the command deck, his gaze fixed on the endless starfield beyond. The flickering holograms danced with the data of the ongoing conflict, battle reports, fleet statuses, enemy movements, but his mind was far from numbers and strategy. Every blinking dot represented lives, pilots who'd laughed, loved, and dreamed before the war. Every lost vessel a sacrifice carved into the ledger of humanity's survival. "Admiral," a voice broke his reverie. "The front-line reports heavy resistance at the Verdun cluster. Enemy reinforcements are deploying faster than anticipated." Varan nodded slowly. "They're desperate," he said quietly. "We're pushing them into a corner. And desperation breeds recklessness." The battle at Verdun was fierce. A dense field of asteroid debris provided both cover and hazard as human and alien fleets clashed. Plasma beams sliced through floating rocks and explosions scattered fragments into the void like deadly confetti. Lieutenant Amir Khan led his squadron through the chaos with grim determination. His fighter weaved deftly, dodging bursts of enemy fire and returning volleys with precision. His comms crackled with commands and updates, the voices of comrades steady but tense. "Flank left," Khan ordered, eyes sharp on the sensors. "Focus! Fire on their command frigate. Take it down, and their formation breaks." The squadron responded flawlessly, a ballet of coordinated strikes and evasive maneuvers. The enemy's command ship took multiple hits, its shields flickering dangerously. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's secretive laboratories, Commander Hannah Yates oversaw the deployment of a new generation of war machines, advanced drones capable of autonomous combat and adaptive tactics. These synthetic warriors represented the cutting edge of human ingenuity, blending AI precision with battlefield resilience. "They're learning fast," Hannah remarked, as the drones transmitted data in real time. "They adapt to enemy tactics." In seconds, her team worked tirelessly, analyzing feedback and improving algorithms. The war demanded innovation, and humanity answered with technology forged from necessity. Back on the Galactic Council's capital, cracks in the alliance widened. The Vexari faction pushed for cautious diplomacy, warning that continued conflict risked annihilation for all. Ambassador Shearer's voice was sharp. "Humanity has proven more formidable than we anticipated. We must consider peace terms before." "It's too late," General Vorka's reptilian snarl echoed. "Peace is a weakness. Only through total domination do we secure the future." The council chamber buzzed with dissent, a fragile coalition fracturing under pressure. Some factions eyed humanity with fear and envy, others with opportunistic calculation. At the Helios outpost, Elena Miles stared at the tactical display as new enemy fleets materialized in sensor range. The air around her was tense, electric with anticipation. Her tactical officer reported grimly, "Multiple hostile squadrons inbound. Estimated fleet strength exceeds ours by nearly 2-to-1. Elena's eyes hardened. "Then we fight smarter. Deploy the stealth units. Hit them where it hurts." She called on hidden strike teams, elite operatives trained for covert warfare, sabotage, and intelligence gathering. These shadow warriors were humanity's unseen edge, slipping behind enemy lines to disrupt supply chains and command networks. "Success in the shadows will turn the tide," Elena said softly, more to herself than anyone else. As the battle erupted anew, the frontline commanders felt the crushing weight of war. They saw friends fall, witnessed ships shredded by fire, and heard the silent screams of loss carried on the radio waves. But they also saw moments of hope, resilience, courage, and unbreakable will. Amidst the chaos, Elena's voice rose above the noise. "We do not fight just for victory. We fight for the future, for every soul depending on us." The void was indifferent, but humanity's fire burned ever brighter. The war stretches humanity's forces to their limits. As new alien strategies emerge, human commanders must adapt or perish. Back on Earth, political tensions threaten to disrupt the united front, just as critical battles rage. In the depths of space, unexpected betrayals hint at darker games within. The Galactic Council. The Helios sector was a furnace of war, a brutal theater where every ship, every pilot fought not just against an alien enemy, but against exhaustion, fear, and the creeping weight of despair. Commander Elena Miles stood at the observation deck of the outpost, eyes scanning the endless black where fleets maneuvered like sharks circling their prey. Every ping on the sensors was a heartbeat in this deadly dance. Reports filtered in. New enemy tactics had emerged. The Jorvex had begun deploying electronic warfare pods, compact, fast-moving devices designed to scramble human communications, and sensor arrays. They moved like ghosts through space, cutting off command links and plunging entire squadrons into dangerous silence. "Elena, we're losing contact with Alpha Squadron," her tactical officer warned. "They're in blackout. Last position near the Nebula Rift." A cold knot tightened in Elena's stomach. "Send backup drones for recon and recovery. We can't lose them." She understood the stakes. In this war, silence was death. Far below, in Earth's Strategic Command Center, Admiral Varens stared at his holomap with grim focus. The flickering red alerts showed disrupted communications and compromised systems. "The enemy is evolving," he muttered. "They're testing us." His voice hardened. Deploy the new quantum comm relays. We need to restore our network, no matter the cost. Commander Hannah Yates worked feverishly alongside her team. The quantum relays were humanity's last hope to keep the vast fleet coordinated. The technology was fragile but revolutionary, able to bypass most jamming attempts by teleporting data through entangled particles. We're cutting it close, Hannah said. If these go down, coordination breaks and the fleet becomes vulnerable. Meanwhile, in the shadowed corridors of the Galactic Council's palace, whispers of conspiracy swirled like poison. Ambassador Shira met secretly with a cloaked figure from the Korsh coalition. Long-time enemies now bound by a fragile alliance. Of convenience. We must act quickly, Shira urged. If humanity breaks our lines, the Council collapses. Our people will suffer. The cloaked figure nodded, voice a harsh whisper. We have assets within their ranks. We can strike from within. A cold smile spread across Shira's face. The war was no longer just fought in space. It was a game of shadows and betrayal. Back at the Helios outpost, Elena's team detected movement near the nebula rift. Rescue teams deployed, their stealth tech humming softly as they slipped through. Cosmic dust. Suddenly, sensors flared. Enemy ships ambushed the search party. Contact. We're under fire, a voice shouted over the comms. Elena's fists clenched. Hold your positions. Cover their extraction. We don't leave anyone behind. The rescue mission turned into a desperate firefight. Laser blasts seared through. The nebula's swirling gas clouds, illuminating twisted wreckage and burning debris. Lieutenant Amir Khan led a squadron in a daring rescue maneuver, dodging enemy fire and shepherding damaged ships to safety. Amid the chaos, a new weapon activated, a quantum disruption field designed to destabilize enemy shields. The battlefield flickered with sudden surges of power and blackout zones where ships vanished from sensors. It was a game changer. On Earth, political tensions simmered. Governments debated the cost of endless war as civilians bore the brunt of sacrifice. But in secret bunkers and war rooms, leaders understood one truth. Humanity's survival depended on unity and resolve. Admiral Varren addressed a coalition of commanders and diplomats. We face not just an external enemy, but internal pressures. We must hold together. Failure is not an option. Across systems, humanity prepared for the next phase, a push that could end the war or shatter their hopes forever. In the depths of space, the Galactic Council fractured further. Factions vied for power, some plotting betrayals that could tip the scales. The war was no longer just between stars. It was within hearts and minds. Humanity launches a decisive campaign to disrupt enemy supply lines, forcing the alien coalition into desperate measures. Meanwhile, internal strife within the Galactic Council reaches a boiling point, and hidden spies work to unravel human alliances from within. On the front lines, commanders face brutal losses, but refuse to back down. The cold vacuum of space echoed with the sharp crackle of laser fire and the distant roar of exploding warships. The human fleet advanced relentlessly, pushing deeper into the contested systems that had long been the backbone of the Galactic Council's supply network. Admiral Varren stood at the helm of the Resolute, eyes flicking rapidly between the shifting battle map and the faces of his crew. Every lost ship weighed heavily, but the campaign had to continue. Target their fuel depots and supply convoys, Varren ordered, voice calm but resolute. Without fuel, their fleets cannot operate. Cut off their lifelines? Lieutenant Khan led a squadron on a strike mission into the asteroid fields of Zeta Prime, weaving through treacherous debris with practiced ease. Enemy escorts ahead, Khan reported. Engaging. The battle was brutal and unforgiving. The escorts fought with desperation, knowing that every second they held the line could save vital resources. Khan's squadron executed hit-and-run tactics, firing precision volleys and retreating into asteroid cover before counterattacks could land. Back at Earth's command center, Commander Hannah Yates monitored the progress of covert ops teams tasked with sabotaging enemy infrastructure. Their reports were grim but promising, small victories that could cascade into strategic advantage. Intel confirms multiple successful sabotage operations, Hannah relayed, but enemy counterintelligence is closing in. In the Galactic, Council's capital, Ambassador Shira's faction waged a political war parallel to the battles in space. Rumors of betrayal and espionage poisoned the halls, fueling paranoia. A trusted aide approached her with grave news. "We've identified agents within the human coalition, infiltrators sabotaging their efforts." Shira's eyes narrowed. "Then we strike first, before they unravel us." At the Helios outpost, Elena Miles received reports of escalating skirmishes along multiple fronts. Her forces were stretched thin, but refused to falter. "Hold the line," Elena commanded. "Reinforcements are en route, but we must buy time." A tense silence settled over the command room as sensors tracked incoming enemy waves. Suddenly, alarms blared. Multiple contacts detected, unidentified vessels emerging from stealth. Elena's pulse quickened. "Prepare for engagement. They're trying to break through." The ensuing battle was chaotic. Enemy ships cloaked in advanced stealth tech materialized among human vessels, striking swiftly before vanishing again. Elena's teams responded with coordinated countermeasures, deploying sensor buoys and enhanced electronic warfare to detect the hidden threat. Despite the odds, human forces held firm. Every sacrifice echoed the determination burning in their hearts. On Earth, political leaders grappled with the strain of war. Debates over resources, strategy, and public morale challenged unity. Admiral Varren addressed the gathering with unwavering conviction. "Our enemies hope to divide us through fear and fatigue. We must stand united for every life, every dream." His words galvanized the room. Despite uncertainty, humanity's resolve remained unbroken. As the war raged across star systems, shadows deepened. The Galactic Council's fractures widened, and unseen players moved their pieces in the cosmic game. The outcome would not be decided by firepower alone, but by trust, betrayal, and the will to survive. The war reaches a critical turning point. As humanity unveils new weapons and strategies that shake the alien coalition's confidence, commanders face devastating sacrifices and difficult choices, while secret alliances and betrayals tip the galactic balance. The future of humanity and the galaxy itself hangs in the balance. The void was no longer a silent, empty expanse. It had become a cacophony of light, sound, and fury. Explosions bloomed like deadly supernovae against the backdrop of cold stars. Metal screamed as ships tore through one another, the deadly ballet of war reaching a fever pitch. Admiral Lucas Varren stood motionless on the bridge of the Resolute, the weight of command settling on his shoulders like a crushing stone. Around him, the bridge buzzed with controlled chaos. Officers shouting orders, technicians updating battle maps, and pilots bracing for their next runs. The holographic star map glowed with the frenetic movements of fleets, human and alien, alike clashing with a ferocity neither had shown before. But something was shifting in the tide. "Admiral," came the urgent voice of Commander Hannah Yates over the comms. "The new graviton disruptors are online. Preliminary results show enemy shield frequencies destabilizing under prolonged exposure." Varren's eyes narrowed. "Deploy immediately. Target their command and control vessels. We cut their coordination. We cripple their response." Across the fleet, specialized warships bristled with the graviton disruptors, weapons designed to unravel the very fabric of enemy defenses. The first volleys rippled through space, waves of unseen energy cascading over Vex cruisers. Shields flickered, then faltered. Explosions blossomed in rapid succession as previously impervious warships became vulnerable. In the cockpit of his fighter, Lieutenant Amir Khan felt the shift like a surge of adrenaline. "Enemy shields dropping. Focus fire," His squadron intensified their assault, targeting crippled vessels with ruthless precision. The alien forces scrambled, desperately trying to compensate. Jorvek's warlords barked orders, their confidence shaken by a technology they had not anticipated. Back on the Helios outpost, Commander Elena Miles oversaw the battle with sharp focus. The air was thick with tension, the hum of emergency power systems filling the room. Reinforcements from Earth Command are arriving within the hour, she reported. This could turn the tide. Her tactical officer nodded. Enemy fleets are retreating in disarray. Morale is faltering. Elena's eyes gleamed. Good. Press the advantage. We must never give them room to regroup. But beneath her determination lay the heavy cost of war. Reports of casualties and damaged vessels flickered like shadows in the back of her mind. She moved to the medical bay where wounded soldiers lay, faces pale, bodies broken but spirits unyielding. One young pilot, barely more than a boy, grasped her hand weakly. "We fight for Earth, and we won't give up." Elena squeezed his hand gently, voice steady but soft. "Neither will we." The Galactic Council, sensing their grip slipping, convened an emergency session. Factions argued and schemed, desperate. To find a solution, Ambassador Shira's voice cut through the turmoil. "We must consider drastic measures. Humanity's rise threatens everything." A shadowed figure stepped forward, a Korsh defector turned Council insider. "There are whispers of betrayal within their ranks. We can exploit this." The Council's fractures deepened as paranoia and desperation took root. In the midst of battle, humanity's secret weapons continued to turn the tide. Stealth squads infiltrated enemy supply lines, disabling critical infrastructure. Commander Hannah Yates coordinated these covert operations with relentless precision, her eyes sharp as hawks tracking prey. "Every strike counts," she reminded. Her team, "We are the unseen blade." Despite victories, the war's toll was undeniable. Ships vanished, comrades fell, and the line between friend and foe blurred in the shadow of loss. Admiral Varren stood again before his crew, his voice resolute. "We fight not just with weapons, but with hope, with unity. The galaxy will remember us not for the battles lost, but for the future we forged." The stars watched silently as the war surged forward, an endless storm, fueled by courage, sacrifice, and an unbreakable will to survive. Humanity's forces pushed deeper into enemy space, facing brutal counterattacks and devastating losses. The Galactic Council's internal fractures widen, with betrayals and shifting alliances reshaping the war's landscape. Amid the chaos, human commanders must confront impossible choices that will define the fate of the galaxy. The war had become a relentless storm. Across the shattered front lines of the Verdun cluster, human and alien fleets clashed with unforgiving brutality. Ships burned, torn apart by plasma bolts and kinetic slugs, drifting like ghosts amid the cold stars. Admiral Varren stood on the bridge of the Resolute, the constant hum of war vessels a harsh counterpoint to the quiet devastation unfolding before him. "Incoming transmission from the Korsh Coalition," the communications officer announced. The screen flickered to life, showing a stern-faced Korsh commander. "We've detected increased Council activity near the Jar system," the Korsh said. "Our scouts report a possible offensive buildup." Varren's jaw tightened. "Then we must strike first." Lieutenant Amir Khan's squadron darted through a dense asteroid field near Jar, dodging bursts of enemy fire. The nebula's swirling gases distorted sensors, making navigation treacherous. "Stay sharp," Khan warned. "They'll use the terrain against us." Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the void. A human cruiser had been destroyed by hidden missile pods. "Losses are mounting," Khan muttered, determination hardening his voice. "We can't let them push us back." "Back on Earth, Commander," Ada Yates analyzed intercepted communications, piecing together the fractured state of the Galactic Council. Some factions are considering withdrawal, she said, but others plot to use human defections against us. Her team worked tirelessly to root out spies within their own ranks. Every leaked secret threatened to unravel hard-won gains. At the Helios outpost, Elena Miles prepared for a decisive battle. The enemy's main fleet was converging. "This will be our crucible," she told her officers. "We hold the line no matter the cost." As the fleets collided, the void ignited with fire. Tactical brilliance met raw fury. Human pilots weaving through deadly barrages, their resolve tested to the limit. The Galactic Council's internal collapse accelerated. Alliances shattered, betrayals erupted, and trust became a precious, fragile commodity. Amidst this chaos, humanity's secret weapon, the stealth squads, struck hard and fast, sabotaging key council assets. In quiet moments between battles, commanders wrestled with the weight of their decisions. Every lost ship, every fallen comrade, a reminder of the cost of survival. Admiral Varren looked out at the stars, his mind heavy but resolute. "We fight not just to win, but to ensure humanity's place among the stars." The war was far from over, but humanity's fire burned brighter than ever. The climax of the war erupts as humanity's full strength is unleashed against the fractured Galactic Council. Betrayals come to light, sacrifices mount, and the fate of entire civilizations hangs in the balance. In the final desperate battle, humanity must prove why they were never to be underestimated. The void shimmered with the fire of 1,000 stars ignited by war. Admiral Lucas Varren stood tall on the bridge of the Resolute, his gaze unwavering, as the final fleet formations aligned before the decisive assault. This was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a battle for the soul of humanity and the future of the galaxy. "Status report," Varren commanded, voice steady but heavy with the weight of history. "All fleets in position, Admiral," reported Commander Hannah Yates. "The new graviton disruptors and pulse drones have crippled the Council's defenses. Their fleets are fractured and disorganized." Varren nodded grimly. "Then we strike with everything we have. This ends now." Across the shattered battlefield near the Helios sector, Commander Elena Miles stood among her officers watching the final engagement unfold. The enemy, fractured and desperate, threw every remaining ship into the fray. "Hold your lines," Elena ordered, her voice ringing like steel. "Protect the outpost at all costs." Explosions erupted around them. As starships collided, plasma lances piercing armor and missiles streaking through space. The roar of battle echoed in every command center, every fighter cockpit. Lieutenant Amir Khan led his squadron on a daring assault deep into enemy territory. Their target was the Galactic Council's flagship, the heart of their command. Khan: "To fleet, this is the moment we've trained for. Let's show them what humanity means." The squadron surged forward, weaving through defensive fire with desperate agility. Khan felt the weight of every life aboard his ship and those depending on his success. As they closed on the flagship, the battle intensified. Khan's fighter took hits, systems flickering, but the squadron pressed on, striking with ruthless precision. Back on Earth, Admiral Varren received a secure transmission from Ambassador Shira, now a reluctant ally. The Council's fractures had reached a breaking point, and some factions sought peace or surrender. "Humanity's rise is inevitable," Shira said, "but we must ensure it comes with balance, not annihilation." Varren responded with cautious hope. "We seek peace, but not at the cost of our future." The battle culminated in a cataclysmic clash as human forces surrounded the flagship. Graviton disruptors shattered shields, pulse drones crippled communications, and human pilots unleashed a torrent of firepower. With a final, earth-shaking explosion, The flagship was destroyed, its command lost, the Council's hold broken. Amid the ruins, humanity stood victorious but scarred. The cost had been immense. Ships lost, lives sacrificed, and worlds forever changed. Commander Elena Miles surveyed the aftermath. The silence of space, a stark contrast to the fury that had raged. "We have won a war," she said softly. "But now we must build a future." Admiral Varron addressed his weary fleet, his voice carrying hope and solemnity. "This is not the end. It is a new beginning. A chance to forge a galaxy where humanity is not feared or ignored, but respected and united." The stars twinkled. Silently, witnesses to a saga of courage, sacrifice, and unyielding spirit. Humanity had fired first, yes, but now they stood as masters of their destiny, and the galaxy would never forget.